Hello, everybody, and welcome back. There have been some exciting updates since last week, as there always are, especially in the world today. But in the book world, one development specifically that I wanted to chat about, I had sent out an email to my list about this development and got a couple questions about it. The development is that Draft to Digital, as a distribution platform, now offers the ebook version, which is primarily it's what Draft to Digital is known for. It's not all they do now. We'll get to that in a second. But the ebook version of your book for distribution through bookshop.org. So I want to talk about why this is important, why this is exciting, and then why this doesn't need to at all be confusing. One quick note of something else that came out last week in my author newsletter is that there's been a little bit of a change in the KDP or Amazon ecosystem. Shocking, I know. They change about as frequently as Meta changes, but most of the updates, much like Meta, don't have that big of an impact. There'll be like a UI or an interface change here or there, but it doesn't really change things dramatically. And this doesn't either, but it can cause a lot of angst. And that thing that's happened is there are certain fonts that KDP will no longer accept within a manuscript. And the one with which I'm most familiar is Lucida Sans. Poor Lucida. Because, and I don't know why, I'm not sure what's gone on behind the scenes that makes that now not allowed. But the questions that have come through for that are around the idea of, but Elizabeth, I embed my fonts in a PDF, and I thought that was supposed to take care of this problem. It takes care of the problem to a degree, in the sense that if the font that you've used in your manuscript is not a font that KDP recognizes, having that font embedded in your manuscript allows the font to print in your book, as opposed to KDP's system changing the font and making it something similar, but something that they recognize in their system. So you always want to embed your fonts. That being said, if you upload a manuscript with an embedded font that KDP now no longer supports, period, it will not allow your manuscript to be uploaded. Think of it like if you use a photo in your social media that is copyrighted to Getty Images, as an example that I think will be relatable by a lot of people. Getty Images can come back and say, you can't post that on your social media. That's our photo. In the same way, it's not that KDP is saying this is our font. They're simply saying, for whatever reason that we don't know, they don't support this font anymore. And it can still read it as an embedded font in your PDF and say, oh, now we're not going to take this. So I had this happen with an author with whom I've been working for many years. She had a minor change to her manuscript and a book that's been out for less than a year, but it was a significant change, but it was a minor change. And we went to re-upload it to KDP. It was rejected because of this font situation. So if this happens to you, if after you've published or if you purchase a template that happens to have what is now known to be an unallowed font, I'm sure most template creators are frantically redoing their templates if they include these fonts, but nevertheless, I have put up a video on YouTube, and I will link to that in the episode notes, how to fix that. It's not the end of the world. It might require 30 minutes or an hour or a couple of hours, depending on what your learning curve is with working with Microsoft Word specifically. I don't show it in InDesign because I'm not proficient in InDesign. And most of the authors with whom I work, if they're formatting their own manuscripts, they're doing it in Word. So just a side note that if that comes to bite you, there's a solution. But going back to the Draft to Digital update. So Draft to Digital, well, let me back up. So what we're going to talk about here today is bookstore distribution. And what I mean by distribution is what bookstores are able, this is key, able to carry your book should they so choose. So just because you have supposed distribution through certain brick and mortar bookstores or even certain digital bookstores does not mean that the bookstores will make your book available for sale. It does not mean that the bookstore will automatically stock your book on its shelves. It does not mean that the bookstore will make your book readily available even for digital purchasers sometimes. This is much more of an issue in the physical book realm, as you can imagine, than it is in the digital book realm, where the bookshelf is infinite. Like, it can be as big as it wants to be. When I speak to authors about where I prefer, this is my preference, to upload books, my recommendation is the following. For ebook and for paperback and hardback, if you have it, I, of course, recommend uploading to Amazon. And you may be wondering why I would say, of course. Regardless of how you feel about Amazon as the behemoth that it is, 60 to 80% of readers purchase their books online, meaning from an online retailer. And of those 60 to 80%, 50% of them go to Amazon. So if you decide, and you can certainly do this, that you don't want to be partnered with Amazon in that way, you can do that. And you just need to know that you're cutting off a pretty big limb in doing that and move ahead however you choose to move ahead. So with Amazon, I recommend loading your book, your ebook, your paperback, if you have a hardback. Today we're going to talk about ebooks and paperbacks. So I recommend loading ebook, paperback to Amazon. Cool. Now, if you want to offer your book to be available for sale at retailers outside of Amazon, and that can be digital retailers, like retailers who sell, for example, barnesandnoble.com, if you want your ebook available for the Nook, you want it available there for that, or there's like 38,000 digital ebook retailers, or regular, like brick and mortar book. So Barnes and Noble or Target, which, by the way, that's not going to happen, but I just put it out there so you understand what I mean by brick and mortar. The way to do that is, in my opinion, through Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is a division of Ingram, which is the largest book wholesaler in the US. They are the place to which retail booksellers turn when they want to order books at wholesale pricing with the wholesale terms to which they have become accustomed. So, yes, to kind of cut into the weeds, but also to cut to the chase, Draft to Digital as an uploading platform will allow you to distribute your print books to all the other retailers outside of Amazon. I prefer to go right to the source. So I prefer to go right to Amazon for distribution through Amazon. I don't want another middleman to take any more of my piece of the royalty, which is small enough to begin with. So I go right to Amazon. When it comes to getting my physical book into or available to booksellers, retail booksellers, I prefer to go right to the source, which is Ingram Spark for self-published authors. Draft to Digital sits in the middle of these two, and I do use Draft to Digital to make my ebooks available to all digital book retailers outside of Amazon. And the reason that I choose to do that, as opposed to doing it through Ingram Spark, is because I prefer Draft to Digital for this. I prefer their interface, and I don't know if I should say this publicly, but I'm going to say it publicly. It's been long noted that Ingram Spark's database, they served booksellers for years and years and years. They're not necessarily yet used to serving people who don't spend their lives in the book industry, which is self-published authors we don't spend our lives stocking our bookshelves with books. So the Ingram Spark website and navigation interface, while it's getting much better, is still not ideal. And I prefer Draft to Digital. I like that I can see all the outfits that are carrying my digital book, the whole shebang. So I'm not going to go any further into the weeds than that. But those are the three distribution platforms that I have utilized for many years. I've looked at many others. I've experienced many others. This isn't to discount any others. When people say, Elizabeth, just tell me what to do, I say, put your ebook and your paperback available through KDP, put your ebook available through Draft to Digital, and put your paperback available through Ingram Spark to everybody outside of Amazon. Now, what happened somewhat recently is, as you know, a lot of people are saying no thank you to Amazon, and they're wanting to support indie bookstores or any bookstore, really, other than Amazon in some cases. So, because of that, a lot of self published authors have been willing to upload with Ingram Spark so that their book can be available to other booksellers, most notably bookshop.org. If you are not familiar with bookshop.org, it is a website that donates a percentage of their earnings to the approximately 3,300 affiliated indie bookstores that, again, are affiliated with bookshop.org. So they are I don't know what their legal classification is or their tax classification. I can't say for sure if they're a nonprofit. I don't think they're a nonprofit, but the bottom line is they are well known for supporting indie bookstores. And therefore, authors, especially indie authors, love to support bookshop.org. Here's where there's a challenge. Bookshop.org is not able to discount their books to the same degree that Amazon can. So for people who are shopping at bookshop.org, number one, they're willing to pay, for the most part, regular price for the book. Are there occasionally sales? Of course. But for the most part, they're willing to pay that regular price. The second point is that they're willing to pay shipping. Because as you know, with Amazon, if you have Amazon Prime, you get your free shipping in 2 days and the book shows up. I mean, sometimes it shows up, I guess, by drone within like 7 minutes. I haven't experienced that just yet. I'll be terrified if that ever happens. But at any rate, bookshop.org, you're paying for shipping. And even if it's just $4 or $5, I don't know, there's a range and depends on how much you order and what you order and all those sorts of things, you're still paying for it. And so lots of times consumers, especially today, are just reluctant to do that. They've gotten into the habit of getting on their Amazon cart and just, buy. It's like Monopoly money. They don't even notice. Until 2025, bookshop.org only sold physical books. They did not sell the digital versions of books, so ebooks. In 2025, that practice changed. It wasn't widespread information as far as I'm concerned. And it also wasn't widespread information. Okay, how do you get your ebook loaded to be able to be sold on bookshop.org if it's not already available through somewhere else other than Amazon, because you wouldn't distribute it from Amazon to Bookshop. That's a non-starter. They've put up big roadblocks there, as you can imagine. So this is exciting news for a number of reasons. Reason number one is that if you are already published through Draft to Digital, your ebook, all you have to do, it's not automatic, to be clear. You have to log into your account and it will pop up a screen that says a new distribution option is available, bookshop.org. Do you want to place any or all of your titles available for distribution, the ebook version? And you just click yes, and you're off to the races. Like within 2 days, it's available and you'll get a confirmation email. If you are not yet published, when you log in if you use Draft to Digital to distribute your ebook outside of Amazon, bookshop.org will be one of the many, many options that you can select, in addition to a wide variety of stream or subscription services, library service, distribution services, etc., where you can make your ebook available. So this is great news for indie authors who have long wanted to allow their ebooks to be sold at bookshop.org and the sales to benefit bookshop.org, but didn't have an easy way to do it. Because again, until last year, bookshop.org didn't even offer that as an option for ebooks. There are two other points about ebooks that self-published authors often discount. And I think it's because many of us who are indie authors love physical books. I don't mind an ebook, to be clear. I have hundreds of ebooks on my iPad. It's out of sight, out of mind for me. I am far more likely to pick up a physical book. And I happen to love the feel of paper and physical books and turning the page and all that. So unless I'm on a plane or a train or for some other reason, I have my iPad open in front of me, which is not common, I'm reading a physical book. The thing, though, about ebooks that's beautiful, number one, if we're going to just talk about money, your profit margin is significantly higher than it is on the physical book because there's no print cost. And so you, okay. And because of that, you can run sales on the ebook. And I believe that authors run sales on their ebooks far too infrequently. If you do it every week, it's not a sale. It's now just the regular low price of $2.99. But one of the best ways to get the word out about your book without hiring an expensive publicist or any other number of things you might have considered is to put your ebook on sale for, say, a week, and utilizing your friends and your followers. And if you still have a launch team in play, or you want to put one back together again, to help uh, announce that to their audiences that this book is on sale for a limited time. You still you probably won't earn as much if well, you won't. If your ebook is on sale for, say, $2.99 and you're earning 70 or 60%, if it's through Drafted Digital and it's going through bookshop.org, you're going to earn, I believe, 60%. It might be 70%. Sometimes there's some fluctuation, but still 70% of $2.99 is, not going to buy you a mini Highland cow and a ranch to live on with said cow. However, quantity, it starts to multiply. The other thing that happens with ebook sales, and I know this for sure because I've been doing it for so long, is, have you ever seen an advertisement for something and the advertisement is for something that's, let's call it $5, and you think, oh my God, that's a no-brainer, done. And you click on it, let's say it's a meta ad, and you click on it and you buy the thing for $5, and then it says, now, do you want to upgrade that? Or do you want to buy this other thing? And you think, yes, no brainer. Or sometimes you might click on the $5 thing and then find out, oh my gosh, but I can get 4 of them for $15. So I'll take that route instead. People do this with books a lot. So if someone sees that your book is on sale for $2.99 and the title or the topic intrigues them and they click on it, they may very well think, gosh, I need this. And also, I want it in a physical copy. And so they order the paperback. If the ebook is on sale for $2.99, and they see it and they're intrigued and they think, I need the physical book. And then they pay $15.95 for the physical book, and you get your cut of that, whatever that may be, $5 and however many cents if you're indie published, then there you have it. As time goes on, what we're seeing within the self and indie author community, self-published indie author, is that the opportunities for distribution are increasing. That being said, there are certain aspects of distribution that still remain outside of our grasp, and that might be okay. So I talk in other episodes about how bookstore distribution really works, and the concept of returns and the concepts of having distribution. So Ingram Spark is a division of Ingram, which is the biggest wholesaler. But as a self-published author, what I don't have is access to the sales staff that often goes out and says to the brick and mortar stores, hey, Susie's got this great new book and you're going to want to carry it. Where you get access to those sales teams is either being traditionally published or being with a hybrid publisher who has an arrangement with those distributors and those sales teams. And make no mistake, those arrangements are expensive. So there are a number of renowned, solid, high quality hybrid publishing houses. And lots of times authors will see their prices, and their prices usually, if they have traditional distribution through Simon & Schuster or Two Rivers or whomever, their prices will start at $20,000 for a book. And authors will think that's absurd. And what they don't realize is that the hybrid house is not pocketing that 20 million or 20. Oh, I wish it were 20 million, $20,000 and going buying their own ranch of miniature Highland cows. They are in fact turning that money over and reinvesting it into having the sales team and that whole distribution leg. Even then, it's not a guarantee that your books will end up in any of those bookstores. So I talk at length about bookstore distribution on the website. I've talked about it in other episodes. I'll link whichever episodes I can find that are related, because this is one of the areas that I find that authors, it doesn't matter whether you're self-published or traditionally published, when you're just getting into it, it's uncommon to really understand how the distribution works. And what's most unfortunate about that is that people's expectations are A, set improperly, and B, they're often taken advantage of. And so you'll have less reputable, not even unreputable, non-reputable vanity publishers specifically coming out and saying, we'll get your book carried in 35,000 stores. And these poor authors are thinking, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. When in reality, what that publisher should have said was, we will get them available to be available. But the store has to know that the book exists. And that happens through a publicity campaign, a sales team. There are a whole bunch of ways and reasons that it happens. It's not typically organic, and it's typically not free of charge. So to me, to be able to have your ebook, which is such an incredible lead in to your book and to you as an author at no cost to you. I mean, print on demand is already at no cost to self-published authors because you don't pay for the printing until the book is ordered. But with an ebook, there's no paper nothing's being printed. So there is no necessarily cost, but except for obviously the middleman costs and the percentage that the different distributors will take. But it's such a great way to offer your book, and now offer it through bookshop.org, which just makes me so happy to be able to finally have ebooks available through bookshop.org. The only place I've ever had them available is, well, all the other retailers, I should say. But that sounds like a lot, but it's not, because the vast majority of people are, I mean, if you go look at the list of all the ebook retailers that exist worldwide, you will not have heard of 99.3% of them, I promise. So obviously, like in Canada, the Nook reader is I believe still even more popular than the Kindle. But now that everybody has their own apps, and to be clear, bookshop.org has its own e-reader app. So even if someone doesn't have the Kindle app is free. You don't have to have a Kindle to get a Kindle book. You can just download the Kindle app for free onto your tablet or onto your laptop or your phone and read it. With bookshop.org, you have to import into your Kindle app. But there's videos on how to do that and that sort of thing. The bottom line is, I think this is a great thing for self-published and indie authors. Does it mean that ebooks are just going to start flying off the shelves at bookshop.org? No, not at all. But I do think it's a wonderful way for that ecosystem to now finally support ebooks, because bookshop.org wasn't selling ebooks of traditionally published books until last year either. So they went in first with the traditionally published books, and now they're allowing indie published books. And it's, in my mind, it's just an absolutely a great thing. And I encourage everyone who has an ebook to think about ways and timelines for putting together ebook sales campaigns, whether it's just for a couple days or a week or so every single quarter, or maybe twice a year, to just get the buzz building again about their book, having a reason to talk about it, having a reason to introduce it to a new audience, grabbing a new launch team, putting together a new list of people who will kind of send the message out to all of their people. And if you need help with that, I've got, just so you know, an email author template toolkit. That didn't come out right at all, but it's an author email toolkit that has tons, well, not tons, it has 30 plus, to be clear, let's not use hyperbole here, but of templates that you can use to communicate both with your readers and with your launch team. And this is one of those things that one of those templates that's in there is like, what do I tell my launch team members or my promo partners to say in their emails to their lists to let them know that this book is available, or in this case, on sale and now available through bookshop.org as an ebook. And if you're with Ingram Spark, it's probably already available through bookshop.org if you've selected that option. I don't know why you wouldn't as a paperback. But again, sometimes consumers are a little more reluctant, especially right now, to shop at bookshop.org because they're not getting the sale price and they're having to pay shipping. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. I know it can feel a little confusing and in the weeds to understand all this back end stuff when really what you want and what I want is for someone to just walk into a store, any store, find your book, purchase it, and love it, and leave a great review. But keep your questions coming, and I will talk to you again next week.